Hi everyone, it's Helen here. Today I will be making another Asian dessert that utilizes the great combination of coconut and pandan. It's called coconut pandan rolled cake. This is another version of the sweet roll. The cake is very airy, light and fluffy, yet super moist and soft. The whipped cream filling is super rich and has a great flavor of coconut. I can't wait to share with you this recipe. So let's begin.
Helen's recipes.
You will need 60 grams of robust flour, 20 grams cornstarch. If you can buy cake flour, then just use 80 grams of cake flours altogether. 80 grams granulated sugar, 30 grams vegetable oil, 40 grams coconut milk, and 4 eggs. I use medium-sized eggs, which weighs around 50 to 57 grams. Make sure you weigh all the ingredients correctly and have them ready before we start. You also need some cream of tartar, some vanilla extract, and pandan extract. Firstly, line the baking pan with some parchment paper. Cut the edges like this so it can fit into the pan. The size of my pan is 25 by 35 centimeters. Just fold up the size. Preheat your oven. Now separate the egg whites from the yolks. Cold eggs normally have firmer yolks, so just separate the eggs right after taking them out of the fridge. It's very important that you don't let any egg yolk drop into the egg whites. So if you just accidentally break the yolks into the whites, then just switch to plan B, which is to make an omelette or egg drop soup or something. A safer way is to separate the egg yolk over a small bowl. If the egg white is clean from the egg yolk, then you can add it to your large bowl. Now use an electric mixer to beat up the yolks. Gradually add in the sugar while beating. We're gonna beat half of the sugar with the yolks and the other half with the egg whites. So continue beating until the sugar is dissolved and the yolks turn pale and creamy. Then gradually add in the oil and continue beating. You want to use flavorless oil like corn oil or sunflower oil and not olive oil. Then also add in the coconut milk. If you don't have coconut milk, you can use normal milk as well. Then add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and half a teaspoon of pandan extract. If you prefer using fresh pandan leaves, then chop them up and blend with coconut milk. Then extract the green juice and add to the recipe in the same amount as the coconut milk. Mix well and your batter will turn green like this. Then gradually sift in the flour and cornstarch and mix it in. Do this in a few batches to avoid big buckets of flours. Just mix until you see no white color of the flour. Then you will get a very thick and glossy batter like this. Now remove the wicks from the mixer and go wash them clean. It's very crucial that you use a clean and dry whisk to beat up the egg whites, otherwise it's not gonna work. Now start beating the egg whites on low speed to avoid splashing and then gradually turn to high. Beat on high until you see many big bubbles. Then add half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. If you don't have cream of tartar, then add a teaspoon of lime juice or vinegar. The acid will help to steep up and stabilize the egg whites. Also add a pinch of salt. The salt also helps the egg whites to hold their shape. Then continue beating on high speed. You will see the bubbles become smaller and the whites increase in volume. Then gradually add in the rest of the sugar while continue beating. The egg whites will increase more and more in volume and becomes thicker. In order for the white to form up nicely like this, the eggs should be fresh, the bowl and the beaters are clean and free from oil. And also the egg whites should be at room temperature before beating them. If you lift up the beaters and the peak curls down, it's at soft peak stage. Then you continue beating on medium for 15 more seconds. When you lift up the beaters and the peak stands straight up like this, it's called steep peak, and that's what we're looking for. We have beaten up and incorporated a lot of air bubbles into the egg whites, so we want to use it as soon as possible before they deflate. Now fold the egg whites into the egg yolks in 3 batches. You want to fold gently to keep as much of the air in the egg whites as possible. The mixing method that we're using is called folding, meaning you run the spatula along the bottom of the bowl and then lift it up in the center. You might have to do this about 50 times to get everything well incorporated. Just fold in one direction and rotate the bowl when you're doing so. By folding patiently, you will be then rewarded with a very light and fluffy cake later. When the batter turns into one uniform color, it looks shiny and glossy, very beautiful. Then stop mixing, scrape up the spatula. Gently drop the bowl 2 times to break the big air bubbles. And pour it to the cake pan. You want to pour slowly from 1 feet high to break the big bubbles. Tilt the pan to distribute the butter evenly and jiggle to level the surface. Then drop the pan 2 more times to break the big bubbles and place into the middle rack of the preheated oven. Bake for 25 minutes at 165 degrees Celsius. You can rotate the pan after 12 minutes to help the cake rise evenly. Now we're gonna make the whipped cream filling. Chill the whipped cream, the beaters, and the clean bowl in the freezer for 10 minutes. Then start whisking on low speed first to avoid splashing, and then increase to high. The cream is whipped more easily when cold, that's why we put everything in the freezer. Add a tablespoon of sugar to give it some taste. And continue beating until it turns thick. When you start to see the trails in the cream that don't immediately dissolve after the whisk move, lower the speed and whisk for another 30 seconds. Stop when you see steep peak. Now comes the secret ingredients. Coconut cream powder. You might not be able to find the same brand in your local Asian store, but I'm sure you can find coconut cream in powder form there. I'm gonna mix about 20 grams of the coconut cream powder into the whipped cream to give it the amazing coconut flavor. It's not a must, but as I always say, coconut and pandan are best friends. They really complement each other very well. Gently fold the coconut powder into the whipped cream. It's so creamy, fragrant, and delicious. I just can't resist the taste test. Then chill in the fridge while we prepare the roll cake. When finished baking, drop the cake a few times on the counter to prevent it from shrinking. Drag it to a wide rack and leave it there for about a minute just to cool it down a little bit. When you can touch it without burning yourself, drag it to a cutting board. Gently peel off the sides. Cover it with a large piece of parchment paper and flip it over. Gently peel off the parchment paper from the cake. Wow, it looks so beautiful. Now we want to roll the cake in the parchment paper when it's still warm to shape the form. Trim the end using diagonal cut so it can fit more easily. Wow, the cake is really fluffy. Roll it up and leave to cool completely. When the cake has cooled down completely, unroll, then spread the coconut whipped cream all over the insides. You want to leave about 2 inches empty at the end. Now lift up the parchment paper and roll the cake as demonstrated. The cream will be then pushed forward, that's why we leave 2 inches at the end. Place the cake with the seamed side down. Then chill the cake in the fridge for a few hours to set. And then cut it into slices to serve. You can use a damp cloth to moisten the knife in between cuts. Wow, blissful! It looks awesome and it tastes absolutely delicious. And you know what else is delicious? All the great food that you cooked with my recipes, took photo and uploaded on Instagram, Facebook and Google Plus with hashtag Helen Recipes. Seeing your photos really tortures me when I'm on diet. But anyway, thank you so much for sending them in. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more delicious Vietnamese food. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. And the filling is rich and the filling is rich and the